January 17th, 2004 started out as an unremarkable day for Birmingham Police Sergeant Mike Collins and fellow West Precinct officers Carlos Curly Owens, Harley Chisholm III, and Charles Bennett. It would soon be the deadliest day in the department's history. Collins, then 37 and not yet a sergeant, had worked in the West Precinct for 10 years after leaving the Army, having served stints in Berlin and operations in Desert Storm. While on patrol, Collins heard Owens talking on the police radio about a complaint on 18th Street in Inslee. He drove there to help and encountered Nathaniel Woods for the first time. Owens was checking to see if a car used by Woods and parked behind his Inslee apartment was stolen. Woods was shouting expletives about the police from inside one of the four small, dingy apartments. The officers argued with Woods through a screen door. At one point, Woods challenged Owens to stop hiding behind his badge and fight. The 50-year-old officer obliged and took off his badge, but Woods stayed behind the locked screen door. A neighbor came over and told them to stop the nonsense and persuaded Owens to put his badge back on. Owens told Collins to check Woods' name in the criminal database from his patrol car. His search showed Woods was wanted on a misdemeanor charge out of Fairfield, accused of beating up his girlfriend. The officers, joined by Chisholm, left to double-check the warrant was valid. Collins said Woods left the officers with one warning: come in here and we'll fuck you up. Later, with a photo of Woods and a copy of the warrant in hand, they set out to arrest Woods. Bennett joined them. Collins and Owens went to the back door. Chisholm and Bennett covered the front. They told Woods to come out. He did, but it was to curse them and argue he wasn't a wanted man. They called Chisholm to the back to bring the warrant and photo. We didn't know for sure 100% that it was him, so we had to get the picture. Collins said in a 200,005 interview, I wasn't going to stand there and argue. Nathaniel Woods wasn't going to agree with anything we said that day. Woods then ran back into the apartment. Chisholm, Owens, and Collins followed. Just inside the kitchen, Chisholm got Woods down on the floor as if he was about to handcuff him. And Woods yelled, I give up, just don't spray me with that mace. Bennett, still out in front of the building, said over the police radio, they're coming out the front. Collins wasn't able to go to the front door through the apartment because Woods, Chisholm, and Owens were blocking the doorway. Instead, he ran out the back door to make his way to Bennett. Gunfire erupted. Collins said he felt a slap on his side and on his pistol, which was holstered. He said he was stunned and that he radioed a shots fired, called and considered his options. Quote, I can't say it as fast as I thought it, but I was like, hey, dummy, you're standing in the open and somebody's shooting at you, end quote. He took cover behind his police cruiser. He put out a double art call, the most drastic request for backup an officer can make. The radio he was using kept giving him a busy signal as he frantically tried to call for help. He said, I'll never forget that sound. I called them, the other officers, on the radio, but they didn't answer. I knew then that there wasn't much hope. He then looked back at the apartment and saw a man later identified as Kerry standing just outside the apartment firing at him. His holster had been hit. There was a hole in his pants and a wound to his leg. Later he found a metal fragment in his pocket. That was the first time I saw him. I knew it wasn't Nathaniel, and I was like, who the hell is that? Spencer continued to fire. When Collins looked again, he was gone. Officer Hugh Butler was the first to go to Collins and was like, when I saw him, I was like, thank God, Collins remembers. And the first thing I said to him was, damn, man, it was only a misdemeanor. Collins moved towards the apartment, but Butler blocked him. I never forget that, Collins said. It was a good thing. That would be images I would never forget. However, hundreds of officers from Brigham and other departments descended upon the scene. They found an SKS assault rifle outside the door of the apartment and a number of guns inside in plain view. A massive, tense manhunt followed, and Spencer and Woods were arrested later that day. Spencer was found hiding in the attic of a nearby home, still armed. Spencer later would testify that they sold drugs out of the apartment, making up to $3,000 a day. He said he bought the SK the day before and had even testified it the previous night. On the morning of the shooting, he went and took a nap. He took a Seroquel, which is a short-acting antipsychotic drug, with a beer to help him sleep. He took the assault rifle with him. He testified that when he awoke, he saw Chisholm with a gun and automatically opened fire. It was a split-second decision. He later testified, it wasn't like I had time to say, oh, you fixing to shoot me? No. It was he pulled his gun up and I already had the weapon in my hand, so I fired. Collins went to the hospital to be checked out. There they found and removed scrapple from his leg. He was treated and released. That's when it hit me. I should be dead, he said in 2005. I don't know, and I can never prove it, but I'm not 100% sure that Carlos didn't push me or give me a shove out the door. So to wrap things up here, Kerry Spencer was sentenced to death and remains on Alabama death row for the murders of 3 police officers. According to court documents, the 3 police officers were attempting to serve an arrest warrant on Nathaniel Woods when the 2 men opened fire, killing Carlos Owens, Robert Bennett, and Harley Chisholm, allegedly. Both Nathaniel Woods and Carrie Spencer was arrested and convicted and sentenced to death. Nathaniel Woods was executed in 2020.
You are saying that you are totally responsible for the murders of those police officers?
For the shootings, yes, I am. I'm the only one that shot anybody that day.
And Nathaniel Woods is completely innocent, you say?
Absolutely. He didn't know I was going to shoot anybody. I mean, I put this on my life, on my children's life. I mean, like, I swear to God, I didn't know I was going to do this. So how would Nate know? I mean, this was some spur-of-the-moment decision. You know, we had no time to think about what the was going to happen that day.
This was not a plan. You didn't conspire together.
No, man. That's just something they put out there. You see, it was no warrant or nothing. They just made up a story for a jury to believe to convict both of us.
It's a fact no one disputes. Alabama is about to execute 44-year-old Nathaniel Woods for the murders of 3 police officers he did not kill. June 17, 2004. 3 Birmingham police officers are gunned down attempting to serve a misdemeanor warrant on Woods at a home in the city's west side. Woods had surrendered to police when another man in the house, Kerry Spencer, opened fire with an assault rifle, killing officers Charles Bennett, Carlos Owen, and Harley Chisholm.
Never in my life have I ever imagined going to 3 funerals in 2 days and feeling the pain and hurt that we've all experienced.
The shocking murders left a city grieving. Spencer confessed to the shootings and said soon after his arrest that he had acted alone. He was convicted of the murders and sits on Alabama's death row. But for prosecutors, one conviction wasn't enough. They charged Woods with 3 counts of capital murder, accusing him of conspiring or being complicit in the killing of the officers. Prosecutors alleged a calculating Woods intentionally lured the officers into the home where Spencer was waiting. Woods was found guilty, and even though he hadn't fired a single shot, he was sentenced to death. Woods' current defense team says his conviction was just one of many legal wrongs, including years of bungled appeals by other attorneys. Now down to his final hours, Woods' family believes their only hope is for the public to convince Alabama's governor that killing a man who killed no one is wrong. We wanted to know what the families of the murdered police officers thought of Woods. We reached 2 of them who said they either couldn't or wouldn't talk to us. But in a local radio interview last year, the granddaughter of Officer Carlos Owen reflected on his loss and the hole it's left in all their lives.
I remember how special he used to make each of his grandkids feel. That was something that he was so good at, making others feel loved and special.
They don't need an innocent man's blood as well.
Overnight, Alabama's executioner putting Nathaniel Woods to death, capping an end to a whirlwind final days for the convicted cop killer and his supporters.